It's the 8th day of Grotmas, and we're opening up a shiny new toy for the Adeptus Custodes, with lots of love for dreadnoughts. Welcome to the Grotmas Detachment Show, where each and every day from December 1st to the 24th, Games Workshop releases a new detachment for every army in Warhammer 40k. It's an exciting time, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's break it down for you and give you an easy to understand first look at these detachments. Happy Grotmas, everybody! Welcome to the Solar Spearhead, a detachment all about vehicles, and in particular, dreadnoughts. We have a number of detachment rules, starting off with Auric Armor. This is going to grant your non-flyer and non-battle shock vehicles +2 OC. This will make them much more independent and be able to hold down objectives on their own. Additionally, going to grant the vehicles the ability to reroll hit rolls of 1 when they're below starting strength, and reroll wound rolls of 1 when they're below half strength. This one I like a little bit less. It's never good to have an ability that relies on you taking damage and becoming wounded. So I'm a bit skeptical, although most of the time you'll be able to reroll those hit rolls of 1, which is nice. We also gain Moritoi Ancients. This is an ability that grants your walkers +2 move, +1 advantage, and +1 charge. This is critical because one of the main downsides of the Custodes Dreadnoughts is they're just slow. It's a datasheet problem that this detachment rule solves nicely. Finally, we have the ability to grant the character keyword to up to 2 dreadnoughts in the list. Very fun, very exciting, and it's going to allow us to synergize well with some of the upcoming enhancements. Speaking of which, let's take a look at those 4 enhancements, starting off with the Adamantine Talisman for 25 points. This grants the character +1 attack, +1 strength, and +1 damage. Of course, always good on a foot character, but really fun when you start combining this onto something like an Achilles Dreadnought. Augury Uplink is a 25-point enhancement that grants the bear a 5+ Feel No Pain. Once again, looking at those big tough walker boys. And we have Honored Fallen, a 15-point upgrade that can only be put on a vehicle. This is going to grant them hit rerolls of 1 for infantry and mounted units within 6, kind of turning this into a 9th edition captain. Finally, we have Veteran of the Cataphractoi, a 10-point enhancement on an infantry or mounted character, and allows them to pick a vehicle or mounted unit within 6 of them in the movement phase to fall back and shoot. I do really like that this is in the movement phase rather than the command phase, because this allows you to move into position, pop the ability, and have that unit then fall back and be able to shoot. That's important because it is only a 6-inch range. Ultimately, it is 4 interesting enhancements, 2 of them that are quite expensive but very powerful, and 2 that are more generalizable but also very cheap. So far, really digging this detachment rule to really incentivize those walkers, and the enhancements, of course, are a nice update on top. Finally, let's take a look at the stratagems. Starting off with Flawless Construction for 1 command point. This allows a vehicle unit getting -1 to be wounded by attacks that are greater than their toughness. We are seeing a lot of this in the new detachments, which is pretty interesting. I think it's a nice subtle buff to durability. Next up, we have Emperor's Vengeance. 1 CP allows a unit to fight on death on a 4+, and on trigger on a 3+ if they're a dreadnought. This is the standard boilerplate for fight on death for 1 CP. Personally, I think I would have preferred it be maybe 2 CP, but be automatic if they're dreadnought or something. I think it's a little bit risky to do on a single model. On a squad, it's actually pretty good. Wrathful Advance is a 1 CP stratagem that allows a 3+ D3-inch pile-in rather than the normal 3. It's okay, really you're just getting an extra D3-inch pile-in, so it's extremely situational. I don't know how often you're going to be using it. Unstoppable is a 1 CP stratagem that allows a vehicle or mounted unit the ability to move through terrain. Very important, as we mentioned earlier. One of the big downsides of these units is their movement and the fact that they can't move through terrain. Relentless Persecution for 1 CP allows you to advance and shoot for a vehicle, or charge as well if they're a dreadnought. Punishment Inescapable is our final stratagem for 1 CP, allows the unit the ability to ignore cover as well as ignore negative modifiers to the ballistic skill and hit rolls. It's a bit tough to spend 1 CP on a unit that does not have that many shots at the end of the day, but I suppose situationally it's going to be interesting. We'll see how often it gets used. That is the Solar Spearhead. I think it's a middle range sort of detachment. It's nice to get some love for these very sweet units. The intent is in the right direction. We're looking at ways to solve the mobility, the durability, and the utility of these dreadnought units. So it's the right kind of thing. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to make this a detachment that we see often on the competitive field. However, I think it is definitely a flavor win, and it is absolutely a playable detachment. So I'm excited to have Bridger be testing it out on the battlefield very soon. As always, let us know in the comments below what you think of it and what dreadnoughts you're going to be running. And also, what do you think we're getting for tomorrow?